I mean, you guys have heard this story many, many times from me, but I'll just simply go through it. How long does it take for us to go from sort of peak euphoria to peak pessimism? That was 60 bars. All right. How about this one? Peak euphoria to peak pessimism. That was 52 bars. So, what is the odds of peak euphoria to peak pessimism? Probably somewhere in that area. We'll just split it 56. And you can see that's December of this coming year. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. Point of the matter here is, and I've talked to you guys at length about this. It almost feels like I'm a broken record, but I guess it's these ones, right? That image there to there. And this sucks because I actually thought there should have been a nice little rally, at least into my birthday. But man, even my birthday, they pooped on this year. And actually, it might be interesting to see in 2018 what it did through my birthday. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this kind of makes sense. Look how in this particular cycle, actually, this makes a lot more sense now. Notice up, push higher there into 28th of March, push higher here, 30th of April. And then just melt down into good old Brian's birthday and into sort of the middle of June. And then this is sort of what I'm thinking is going to happen is we find some sort of base. There is that dead cat bounce. Then there's sort of a sideways through the rest of the summer. And we're planning on having our Portugal meetup later this summer. And then unfortunately this fall, that's when the final shoe should drop. So we'll see how that goes. We did have our TRI meetup in 2018. If I'm not mistaken, I think we had it right in this window. And actually, even off of like the 4-hour charts, all the TRIers at the meetup actually got off a really cool trade there and made some nice money. And a lot of TRIers actually paid for the trip with that little rally. So, actually, maybe this actually is a little bit better. We could even just go boobity boo. Where's it? So there's there to there. And I don't know how I'm going to do this because if I copy that and then I paste it here, it's going to paste it way back there. So now I got to go find it. There it is. So does the end of this year sort of look something along those lines? Could be. Wouldn't surprise me. Something like that. We'll keep that on there just as a reference. But I wouldn't. And actually, this would make more sense if we change this to log. And yeah. Well, I certainly hope we don't have to go all the way back down to there. But I could see this. I could see it come down into here. I don't know whether that final leg would do that, though. Maybe something like that down into these lows of last year. Oh, actually, I like that thinking because I do like the idea of Wyckoff checks. And then also, too, I even saw somebody on the interneting. Same thing. I mean, God, nobody ever listens. You want to know where value is on Bitcoin. I even hear people going, oh, yeah, buy Bitcoin, stable value, stable coin, stable. And store of value and all that. I'm like, no, that's not store of value there. Store of value is down here. So that's still like a 1/3 of what current prices are. So that's the worst part about all this. There's still a lot of fluff to take out of this market. So anyway, slow and steady wins the race. Well, PMA for the win. Try and keep a positive attitude. What I will say, and this is a good example, it doesn't really matter. Today's bear sets up tomorrow's bull. Today's bear is going to set up tomorrow's bull. This is the stock market, so not exactly the same. Today's bear will set up, today's bear will set up tomorrow's bull. The great part about Bitcoin itself is technically this is a rise-only market. I actually do like the idea, believe it or not. I actually do like the idea of us coming into all of these lows here and actually trying to find some sort of base. I guess this is the same sort of thing as the Luna, though. We do have trade location. Is that enough to justify actually taking a trade? I don't think so. Especially like this. This would be like a weekly chart. But if we drill down to maybe like a daily, you might actually start seeing signs of divergence. And if that's the case, then we might start seeing signs of W's coming in on price. Where's the best place to show you that? Yeah, here. So we go down to daily. Do we have any divergences? Interesting. Hello. You guys see that? We dump down here, but notice, Mr. MACD, you are not making a new low. That's interesting. So there's potential here. That is an upward sloping line. If we could somehow just carve out some sort of market structure. In fact, what I would like to hear is Do Kwon, maybe comes out. He's got his plan to repeg and all that kind of fun stuff. And we actually get a counter trend rally back up into resistance there. That would make perfect sense. That would also fire the divergence. So then we'd have trade location down at basically the bottom end of range. We would have that confirmed divergence that we so want to see. And then if we can get some sort of W, we actually might get a counter trend rally. It's a lot to ask for. And all we have right now is we're just down at the bottom end of range, asking whether the divergence can actually come in. Hasn't come in, we're going to need some sort of white knight rally here to get that div 2 confirmed. Interesting how this is a little bit further along than the Dow story. Interesting to hear, from a Bitcoin perspective. Do you see how it actually would be kind of stupid to step in and sell here? Stupid. Why does Brian use the term stupid? So, if you did own Bitcoins and you were planning on selling, Jesus, this is more than a 50% haircut now from the peaks. What are you on? I mean, that's just a waste of your time. And if anything, the fact that the emotion and everything is all as high as it is now, I mean, so frustrating because, why didn't any of those people heed any of these kind of movements up here? Now they get emotional. Now they actually think about selling. I mean, if anything, this is what you have to learn not to do at TRI. And it shouldn't surprise me if we do hear a lot of sort of the public saying, the crypto story's over. It's all a fraud. It's all going to zero. That's exactly the narrative that you hear when Willie is stupidly oversold like this. It's not enough. And actually, I was even, there was a guy when I first started this website who, unfortunately, like a doofus, thought that because Willie is stupid, that is a trade set up unto itself. And as you can see here, Willie actually sat there stupid for that's August and didn't really come out of that until like September. So that's like a month and a half just sitting there. And through a year, he goes, okay, I'm going to short it. And it just makes another high, another high, another high. And of course, he's wiped out. He was waiting for this, but he just came in too early. So it's funny how that same beauty girl, that guy was also in that group as well from back in 2014. And I actually teach, like in the education program, don't be a Landon, right? Just because Willie is stupid, that's not enough of a reason to justify a trade. So it's encouraging that we have now taken the fluff out of the market. Now it's incumbent on the market to actually say, you know what, I'm actually a bull. How do we see that? We see it by these internal indicators all starting to paint W's. No W's here yet. So, yeah. And unfortunately, guys like Julian who like to follow our RSI kind of model for momentum, there is the prevailing trend now off the higher time frames. And actually really interesting, you could make the argument as long as we were Wing, that's bullish. Probably the public comes in here. We used to paint that like purple for the public. Then your first M, boom. So there is, I think what we used to make that color. Can you remember? Yellow, I think. I don't know. Maybe something like that. So that's sort of your warning sign. Bulls, you better be careful. And then this is kind of interesting how is that a trade through the 50 line? Not really. If anything, this is why I kind of don't like using RSI because it sure changes its behavior. But I think you could make the argument this is another breakdown here. Right, down, up, bang. Problem here is now, are we getting into the third W? Is this the second W? Regardless, it could be second or third. I think it's probably second, which means that there should be one more, or excuse me, M. Didn't mean to say W, sorry about that. Which means that there should be one more M, and this should, of course, be our purple one, which is the public coming in and selling at the bottom. Willie's nice and stupid. They shouldn't be doing this, but they will. And usually what ends up happening is the market comes screaming back and just slams them out. So if anything, this message kind of to me is saying that we're about maybe halfway through this correction. That failure there, that was a pretty darn big failure, sort of your second M now kind of idea. So if anything, this was the trade.